I got the call when I was cleaning a carpet. Tino said some guy didn't work out. You're in, 3-month free internship. Turned into 4 years. I was there. It was great.
That's amazing.
Do
you know Fernando Ladero? I recently had him on.
We know each other. We know each other through Instagram. We message each other. He was after me. He started.
Right.
He started. I think I was there like 2000 to 2004, and he was there like 2007 or 8. I think he said.
Nice.
So it's funny. Yeah. There's like all these people that all were runners and interns and assistants, and we all sort of like overlap. And someone who knows someone. Like I do Today's Show. Lawrence was an assistant. He does Tonight Show. He was an assistant at Avatar years before me when I was Power Station. Like there's all these different connections.
The New York scene.
Yeah, there seems to be a bunch of us. Some of the guys that worked for me used to work there. So, but anyway, the place, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I wish I would have been better when I was there, like done better, but I wasn't the greatest, but it was amazing. It was just...
You were also really young.
I was 19 when I got the gig there, yeah. Yeah, I remember like going out to a bar and they're being like, oh, you can't drink,
Yes.
I wasn't even allowed to go in the bar.
I knew nothing when I was 19, so...
I thought I knew too much was the problem because I was already coming from a studio. And
that's what you think when you're 19.
Yeah, I went to school that told me I was great and, all this other stuff. And then you go there and it's like, oh my God, I don't know anything. And just watching, I just remember watching certain sessions and just being like amazed that I'm getting to watch this and watch these people do their craft. It's just a whole nother level.
What would be maybe like a top takeaway that you still think about from your days at the Power Station / Avatar, whatever it was called?
Personally, for me, I wish I was as focused then as I am now, that I took away from learning. I mean, every day was an education. Every day was an education. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I remember... I could think of 1,000 stories, It's like from so many different engineers, from David Baker to Jason Kersar to Jack Joseph Puig to Al Schmidt to, you just saw all these different guys every day. Neil Dorfsman, just like, just try to not screw things up and stay out of the way and learn.
Yeah.
And just the artist too. Just watching the artist work is, that type of artist. It's a different level.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about the transition into mixing for television, and like, how did you get this job at NBC? What made you think to do it? I don't know. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, it just kind of fell into place. I wasn't looking for it. It wasn't meant to happen that way. I was at Avatar, and I'd been there for like 3.5 years or so, and you don't make a lot of money doing that, and I was young and I wanted to like engineer, and I didn't want to do all the running around and all that stuff. And so I wanted to go freelance, and I had a couple of small things that were coming up, and I was like, all right, this is a good start. And I was trying to find something that was steady enough that I could make some money and do these records I wanted to do. And my father was on the New Jersey Transit on the way in the city and met the director on the train, and they started talking, and he told him what I did, and he gave me this guy's number, and I called this guy, Brian, who was an A2 on the show, and he said, yeah, I know your dad. I met him at the bar or something, whatever, with the director. Come on down, hang out. And I went down there, and he introduced me to this tech manager, this guy, Keith, and it was the fall. It was like October, November, and Keith said, we slow up in the winter time after the holidays, but maybe next year we'd have something for you if you're interested in doing some A2 work, putting microphones on people, that sort of thing. Do music A2, plug it in the mics on the stage, that sort of thing. And I just started calling the guy every Monday morning at 10 o'clock when the show ended for like 6 months. And eventually he was like, all right, you can come in.
Wow.
And I started off...
Persistence.
Yeah. And I just started off basically as an A2 and as a music A2. So I'd plug in the mics on the stage for the music mixer, and then they built a new mix room that was based around Pro Tools, which I had a lot of experience in. They needed someone to run it, and I helped out a little bit. And then I mixed a couple of bands, eventually got the opportunity to mix a few, and the show liked it. And one thing led to another, and they offered me the gig full time. And so I was
Wow.
like a full-time freelancer with them for 8 years, and I became a staff engineer with them 10 years ago now. So
Wow.
I've been on staff for NBC for 10 years. So pretty much I'm there 5 days a week.
Wow. So what does the job entail usually to mix for the Today Show?
So if we start from the very beginning, when I take a booking, I don't do the bookings. The producer books the band, and I get an email saying such and such is coming in on this date, and it's either going to be in studio or it's going to be out in Rockefeller Plaza. And then from there, depending on if it's inside or outside, I'll kind of know what equipment I need to rent and, what we're doing. And then either the band will reach out to me or I'll reach out to them. Producer will connect us and we'll go over what they need as far as equipment, what we're doing.
It's almost like front of house, but then you're also
I order all
broadcasting it.
Yeah, well, I set up everything for the show so that when the show comes in, the front of house guy's good, the monitor guy's good, all the gear's ordered, the wireless is coordinated. So there's all that pre-production stuff, which is like every day because we could do on a non-COVID year anywhere from 160 to 225 bands a year. So every day you're doing like a prep, and then the day of the show, the artist will come in, the rental gear will come in. Our crew arrives at 1 a.m. and they start setting up. So I have 2 stage A2s and if it's inside, there'll be a front of house, a foldback mixer for monitors. If it's outside, there's monitor mixer and a front of house guy. I do the broadcast mix, and then there's another broadcast mixer who does the actual production mix of the show. So we get in, the guy starts setting up the stage. I set up my control room, get everything ready, labeled, prepped. I'm a big believer in having everything prepped, and I have this sort of massive template that has everything you could ever need in it that I start with every day. So I get all set up. We do a line check by 5 a.m. And then if it's an outside performance, between 6:30 and 7, we rehearse. So I get to hear every song one time, and we could do 4 to 6 songs. I got that window there. So what I do is I'll be multi-tracking the rehearsal. Soon as the rehearsal is over, I can then play that multi-track back and start building a mix that's going to air for the show. So I get for an outside show, I get 53 minutes. So whether it's 2 inputs or 72 inputs, I've got 53 minutes to get the first song ready for air. So I'll get that mix together. The artist will go on stage. We'll tape that first song because it airs an hour later. As soon as they're done, I'll get about another 20 minutes to clean up the other mixes, whether it's 3 or 4 more songs. I'll save snapshots for everything. And then at 8:30, we're going live with it. So whatever I got at that point is what's hitting the air. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, it's going to air, whether I wanted to or not. So we do the show.
So the actual mixing time is an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah,
basically.
for an inside performance in a later hour of the show, I'd have a couple of hours to do a mix, 2 or 3 hours for something. If it's going to air in the 10 o'clock hour in studio, we'd still rehearse at the same time, but then they wouldn't come out till later to perform. So I'd have a lot more time. But with the outside ones, it's pretty fast.
Are you doing, so where are you mixing this? Inside of Pro Tools? On a desk?
I'm a Pro Tools guy. So I basically have, it's a different setup now. Now I have a Lavo console, and I use that for the mic pre's. And then I have 3 Pro Tools rigs, and look at one as it's just a tape machine. Look at one, it's just a Studer. And the other one, it's just a mixer. It's just an SSL. All it is my console. So the inputs split out of the desk and feed both systems. Then I can hit a button on the console that'll flip it to the second input. So basically what happens is my Pro Tools machine then digitally feeds my Pro Tools mix machine. So I play and record off the one machine and mix through the other. So, and then I can use memory locations and different other ways of automation to save snapshots. So everything is writable.
Wow.
Everything is automated in Pro Tools. So every plugin, every parameter, everything is written. So then I can go in write the automation for that song, save the memory location as song 1, whatever the song is that day. And then I can easily tag through my memory locations and snapshot every song will come up. And then I just change the tempos for the delays real fast and good to go. So it's pretty fast, but it's efficient. I have a pretty efficient system.
Right. It's all built into your template and stuff.
Yeah, so I can get a lot done in a little time. I have everything set, and it's a pretty in-depth setup. I've had 10 years in that room to just add more and more and more. So, and then that sort of translates to this setup in a way too. That template, or the basis of that template sort of goes here. At NBC, I mix 100% digital in the box, which I did for 10 years. As you can see, I don't do that here. But disclaimer, you don't need any of this stuff to make good sounds. I just like it. I like having it in the room.
It's just fun.
Yeah. I don't actually touch any of this stuff. It's all set, and my recall is actually just a calibration template that I use. So tone runs through everything, it comes back up, and then I can just tweak the tone in calibration mode, and I can go open any song I want and never have to touch a thing. And I just have I have trim plugins before and after any of the gear, so I can hit it harder or a lot and take it back. So then all my mixing is actually in Pro Tools and not on any of that stuff at all.
Yeah, you're not fiddling your knobs.
I spend 5 minutes running a tone through everything. I turn everything on, let it warm up for like an hour, run tone through it for like an hour while I'm doing stuff. And then I'll go in and, I don't know, maybe something's off 1/10 of a dB or something, and tap the knob, a couple of things, and that's it. And I don't have to change it, which is great.
Wait, so if you don't mind me going back to the NBC thing.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. You're all cool. We'll get back into your rooms shortly. So you're mixing inside in Pro Tools, but there's no latency, and it's like feeding their monitor mixes.
Basically, I've got I've got to be less than 1 frame back. So in Pro Tools, it forces you, especially in a more native world than ever, to be careful how you build your chains and your routing. So basically, I have to be under 33 milliseconds of delay to not be out of time with video, which limits some of the things I'd like to do, but I've really found a workout for a lot of them. The way that I mix is I look at it as a funnel. And at the top of the funnel is the stage. It's the landscape of the song. It's the whole thing. And then you sort of have to get it down to the bottom of the funnel through these 2 little speakers, or in today's show's case, 5.1 and surround sound. So I got to get it out of those speakers. But you kind of have to massage everything down to get there. So things go from channels to buses, from buses to groups, from groups to masters, and it all... So you have to be creative in your routing, because if the kick drum starts here, but then it goes 3 chains down before it hits your master output, that's all adding delay to your signal. So certain plugins aren't happy, or certain chains of plugins don't work, or certain, an aux send to something might not be. So anytime I'm building something new...
No oversampling, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so anytime I'm building something new or I get an idea, I'm always Apple II to check my system delay. I'm like always. Anytime I change a plugin, you always make sure that you're doing, if it's HDX or not. I'm still not hybrid there, and I'll probably stay unhybrid just due to the latency thing. With TDM versus non-TDM, or I call it TDM, HDX, AAX, and AAX DSP and AAX native. That's very important in the TV world for me, because depending on what you pick, like reverbs, I can't really use native reverbs. It'll knock it back too far. So, like really, and then surround sound, like, pretty much Avid Revibe is my reverb. So there's like certain limitations. Yeah, I can do other reverbs, and I do a couple where I've got 3 stereo reverbs set up for front, center, rear, cascading with different pre-delays and, or different widths as it goes. So there's that sort of stuff. But you have to definitely watch your latency.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. And you're mixing in 5.1?
Yep.
Like exclusively?
Yeah. If you hear the down mix, it's happening in your cable box at home. So we're sending out a
Got it.
5-1 feed. I'm very conservative because every market, something different could happen.